Baby, you're the one for me. Baby, you were meant for me. I'm madly in love with you.
So while it's a sunny day here, I thought I'd give you a quick tour of the boat, because one of the things that we found really difficult when we were looking at the Nauticat, in particular the 42, was we couldn't find any videos of people on the boats and their experiences. So there's going to be a full review of the Nauticat 42. We'll get some sailing footage in here, as well as all the kind of more practical points on this boat. So owner's cabin down here is really well sized, so you've got a really nice seat here to sit on. Really handy for when you're getting your shoes on in the morning. Really good sized double bunk. I'd say it's about the size of a large double bed in the UK. Plenty of windows as well, so got all the port lights around the side, as well as a hatch at the back. Grab handles everywhere again, so even if you're in here, there's actually, when we're sailing, this is one of the, if it's a rough day and you want to get a few minutes down, this is a really nice place to come, because it's so low in the boat. Actually, it tends to be more stable. As you can see around the edge, there's a ledge here that we put some books and stuff on. There's storage everywhere, so all around the corners here, we've got these cupboards that open up, little side lights up there that are quite nice. There's more cupboards here, cupboards. These cubby holes are great to sort of throw things in. So into the heads, and the heads on this boat's really great for the main cabin. So we've got an area for the loo here, which is this one doesn't work on the forward tank. So if we're inshore or in a country that we need to be careful on, we'll just use the forward heads. But the shower in here is really great. So this shower is pretty much the same as your home shower in terms of pressure. And more storage, more cubby holes, more ledges to put things on. So you're really never going to be short of space. So other things to note in this cabin, under this bunk we've got there's a 100 litre hot water tank that heats off the engine and off the electricity. Because it is a slightly bigger tank, it does take a little bit longer to warm up when you're running the engine. If you're on a charter boat, it might have a 25 or 50 litre tank that keeps the water warm. This one's got slightly bigger, and there's also space for storage under here, so under the bunk you can put stuff in there. We've got a couple of kitesurf kites in there at the moment, so there's some quite good space. Moving forwards, we've got heads here. So this is the second heads. It's quite good space, plenty of room in here for a shower. We use it to hang life jackets and wet gear, so we've got boots and life jackets hanging in here. Also has a mirror and tons of good storage, so these cupboards here are quite big, so we're using them to store things like bedding. In here we've got kind of climbing gear and stuff, so really big space. There's 12-volt sockets all around the boat, though they're not that useful. We have this, which is a portable or a small washing machine, so if we're ever short on some underwear, that's quite handy for that. Coming into the forward cabin, it's a bit dark in here because we've got as I said, we've got the dinghy on the top, but there's a really nice twin bunk in here. There's an extra bunk on the top, although we found that in general we just use it for storage. So we've got a cruising chute up here, and then some other bits and pieces. Normally that stuff isn't here, again, more kind of rubbish, but it's a nice, good sized twin bunk. You can fit 2 adults in here, no problem. I guess if you wanted to fit a couple in the front, you could probably put a insert in here and have a slightly wider bunk there, but again, plenty of storage. So there's cupboards everywhere here. There's another cupboard in here. Really nice feature, I don't know if you can see it, but all these cupboards have got lights in them, so the little switch on the top there that flicks on and off the lights. No storage under here. We've got a holding tank and an air conditioning unit, but plenty of storage in the little cupboards. I guess one thing that some people might be interested in is the engine room. You can see in here we've got some quite good space in here, so there's a crawl space down here on the port side, where we've got some batteries loaded in. You've got the main engine, and then on the back behind here on the starboard side there's a generator. Nauticats tend to overspec their engines with, so this one's about, I think it's 100 or 105 horsepower. So when we're cruising, we'll get about 7 6.5 knots out of that at a kind of normal, not pushing it too hard on the engine speed. So coming up onto deck, deck area up here is really good. It's really handy. It's really well thought out. We've got these cupboards here. We've also got the coach roof lid that comes across. We haven't got a spray hood on at the moment. We're waiting to be able to afford one of those. We've got a standard set of instruments up here, so we've got a radar which seems to switch itself on, and normal kind of wind instruments, auto helm. And we're going to we're going to put in some new nav gear here. I forgot to mention, the boat's got a really good number of speakers, so if you're into your music, there's 2 cockpit speakers, there's 2 speakers in the saloon, and then there's a further 2 speakers in the main in the owner's cabin, so that's very, very handy. On deck, a few less winches than a lot of boats, so we've got one big 64 Lumar on each side for the foresail. We've got 2 Lumars on each side, big 64s for the foresail. They're really good, nice outsized winches, which makes winching in the foresail really, really easy, even if it's very windy. And then up here we've got a slightly smaller winch, but this controls the back here. We've got the main sheet coming back. We've got the furling gear for the mainsail, because it's in-mast furling, as well as the traveller, though we tend not to move the traveller too much. Well, off the back we've nice transom. This one's got some davits on it, which are handy if you've got a dinghy that you want to use quite often. Moving forwards, we can see that there are still plenty of grab rails. This boat has a solid rail on the ports on both sides. That makes it feel extremely secure, which is very nice, very, very helpful. We've got some granny bars that were retrofitted on this, definitely recommend those. And up at the mast we've got some really solid rigging. On the foredeck we've got a rib at the moment, so it's a 3.2 meter rib, so that fits on even with the legs off the back. That just about fits on happily. And then on the front we've got an anchor locker down here with the anchor chain and gas bottle in there, and then there's a windlass hiding under here under the boat. Really nice seat on the front of the boat there to sit on. So in terms of what this boat is like to sail, it's really, really comfortable. I can sit on both the starboard side and port side. If I'm on the starboard side of the boat, I can sail with my feet, just sitting looking out. And so I found the helm just on the port side isn't too much of a disadvantage. So if you're someone with shorter legs, so my partner Camilla, she can't reach that so well, so it's not ideal for her. We've made these sail bags to fit on the seats for during the day when we're sitting outside. The seats have got quite an aggressive angle on them, so while you're at rest it's not ideal, but then when you're sailing it's absolutely perfect. There's also a table that fits on out here, so you can sit out and have lunch, so that folds away and goes in the cupboard downstairs. So although the cabin is quite untidy at the moment with all of the stuff that we've got out for cruising, we're cruising along at the moment doing just around 6 knots. I'm going upwind, close hold, so you can kind of see what the boat looks like inside. We're not really that heeled over. I've been in some boats where when you're fully hauled in, the boat's pretty much tipped over. That's not the case. We've got one reef in the foresail, one reef in the main. Just kind of keep it comfortable. But as you can see, we've got, as you're moving around the cabin, you've got good grab handles. This one's retrofitted though actually. You can brace yourself here easily in the kitchen. It's very easy to kind of get around. Got the handle there, move over here, got the handle here. So in terms of what this boat's like to sail, she's a really heavy boat. She's about 16 tons, maybe 17 with a full set of fuel tanks, so I think there's about 900 litres of diesel, 450 on each side, and then about 700 litres of water, although I can't remember the exact numbers. The boat has a really high displacement to length ratio, 409 roughly, so what that means is that it's a really heavy boat, which means it's very, very stable in rough weather. When we came, we've taken the boat out in winds of about 25 knots, gusting 30, with big seas between just me and my partner, and it's been really easy going, really easy to sail, really stable. Even with just some small foresail out and some not too much mainsail out, we were pulling about 7 or 8 knots on a reach. So and that was extremely comfortable, and even going upwind was a bit more difficult in terms of speed. I think we were only getting about 5.5 knots. Doesn't sail that close to the wind, given it's such a big heavy boat. But very, very comfortable. Felt very, very safe. I think that's quite important. If you're in a much lighter race boat, then you may not feel quite as stable.
Baba